What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 86, and this will be part one of our Week 15 review. Tonight, from Bigs HQ, the general manager of the Creamers, the commissioner of the Bigs, and a three-time champion, Ben Nisman. Benny, tell them all about the Creamers, man.
This was my softball team for 4 years, something that I constructed back in 2012. Started as just a pickup, whoever wants to come onto the field on Whitty Road and play a little pickup softball and put it out on Facebook. And one thing led to another. And it became a team that was 3 outs away from winning a championship. And that's a whole nother story. But getting back to our beloved fantasy league, it was a really insane week for most of us. History was made, records were broken, and we'll get into that more of that tomorrow. But tonight we got some intense matchups to break down, a whole lot more, lot to do here. So Joe, as always, set the table, lead us off, my friend.
Let's get going, boys. It was a week of blowouts yet again. One of the best blowouts we've ever seen, a record-setting one, as my co-host just said. But Benny, we are going to start with yours, and it was a 16-5 big win over Mike Sherman. Tell me how you're feeling coming out of this one.
I feel good in general. Obviously, when we break down what could have played, it's a little bit frustrating knowing what could have been, and we're getting to that point now with every matchup meaning so much more, every stat meaning something, and any one you leave on the bench a chance to potentially make the playoffs. And if you miss out on it, that might be the difference between making it or missing it. So yeah, those things are kind of dwelling in the back of my head, but in general, I can't really complain too much.
Yeah, man. Coming out of this one, the only thing that changed on Sunday was that runs category here. Mike Sherman taking that by one. It's the only category he won close. He only won 5 of them. Your close categories, you won by the triple, the error, and 3 losses. And you guys didn't tie in anything. On your bench this week, buddy, you went 13 for 56.
237.
232, in fact, but this is about the 4th take, so we actually we kind of gave this one away. 9 runs, a double, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 4 walks, and 16 strikeouts. Obviously, the 9 runs plays, and there's Josh Bell homers midweek, but you want to talk about the play this weekend, right?
Yeah, it was mostly on Friday. Firstly, I'll start by saying on Sunday, Riley Green was in there initially, and I was very tempted to leave him in there, but I felt against Musgrove, taking too much of a chance. He was flipped out for Santana. Santana did not score a run because I thought maybe, a walk, he gets a walk, he gets a run. Never happened, but really it's about Friday. The fact that I stuck with Seiya Suzuki a second day and never took him out in the lineup, never even had a second thought, because the time I woke up, the game had started. It was the only afternoon game of the day on Friday. Seiya Suzuki in, Grichuk out, McNeil out. Either one of them would have been the run to at least tie the category. So it's frustrating, man, when you lose by 1 and you know that those decisions, they could have made that difference. And we're getting to that point where every stat matters. And what's actually maybe even more frustrating is the fact that I was facing against the guy that had the most runs in the league this week. I mean, I think James Mccloskey might have also had 56 or 57, but I would have beaten everybody else. So yeah, that's pretty frustrating, man. But at the same time, this is a tough manager who's been a bugaboo for a lot of other fantasy owners this season and in the past. So to get away with a plus 11, I really shouldn't be complaining that much.
Not at all. Not at all. Anytime you can get a plus 11 on anybody in this league, you take that, you run with it, and you enjoy it. But I can understand the frustration of only losing this category by 1. For your moves this week, you dropped Mitch Garver for Justin Topa, gave you a clean inning, all 3 strikeouts. You dropped Topa for Christian Vasquez, 2 for 3 with a homer, an RBI, 2 runs scored, a walk, and a strikeout. You dropped Vasquez for Mike Yastrzemski, 0 for 2 with a walk. Dropped Yastrzemski for Scott Alexander, who gave you a clean inning, a win, and 3 strikeouts in a relief appearance. Wade Miley gets dropped back for Justin Topa, 2/3 of an inning, a walk, a 150 whip, and a relief appearance with a strikeout. You drop Tyler McGill for Seiya Suzuki. Here he is, 1 for 5 with a double and a run. So that day he did well for you. 0 for 4 on Friday. You don't appreciate though. Drop Justin Topa for Riley Green, 1 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout that day. Tyler Rogers for Spencer Torkelson, 0 for 3 with an RBI. Dropped Scott Alexander for Gary Sanchez, 1 for 4 with an RBI, and finished it off Colin McHugh for Javier Baez after the bell. I think you used, 9 of them? Looks like 9.
No, 11.
11? Okay. Your MVP this week, my friend, is in fact that first-round pick of Juan Soto, 257 with a 413 on base, 7 runs, 3 doubles, 4 homers, 13 RBIs, 10 walks, 9 strikeouts, and an error. Shout out to CJ Abrams, who was really good, Nolan Arenado, who was really good, and Nathaniel Lowe, who got you 10 runs scored. So, had a really nice offensive week, Benji. Your least valuable hitter, though, Jeff McNeil, 158 with a 238, 2 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, a walk, and a strikeout, and the run that would have tied that category on the bench on Friday. The Cy Young this week.
And Saturday, by the way.
Yeah, both days. The Cy Young this week, I'm going to go a little bit different and give you Josh Hader. 4 relief appearances, 3 2/3, 3 saves, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0.27. The fact of the matter is you only threw 3 starters this week. It was Kenta Maeda twice and Miles Michaelis who gave you 3 innings. So the real MVPs here are this bullpen that you put together. Camilo Doval was really good as well, but only 2 strikeouts over 4 relief appearances and a walk. Just, with 4 saves, great ratio of appearances to saves, but got to get more strikeouts in there. The Cy Yuck is Miguel Castro with a 7.36 ERA and 4 relief appearances with a loss. So Carlos Hernandez also took 2 losses for you, and that's the one you were most annoyed with, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I was given a gift later on that day. So when I say I can't complain about it, I shouldn't have won this big, actually.
Well, for Mike Sherman on his bench, my friend, he goes 10 for 48.
Oh, man. So would that be 220 or 225?
208.
Okay.
12 runs, a double, 2 homers, 13 RBIs, 3 steals, 5 walks, 12 strikeouts, and an error. And guess what? Not a single bit of it plays. Not a single bit of it plays. He only made 1 roster move. That was dropping Brent Honeywell Jr. and hasn't refilled the roster spot. His MVP this week is that guy. He's having a historic season, man. It's Ronald Acuna. You still survived this week because he didn't go completely nuts. But 333 with a 415, 8 runs, a double, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 5 steals, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter is Byron Buxton. Holy shit. 045 with a 120, 12 strikeouts, 2 RBIs, and 2 walks. Gross.
Right. Now, if you look at the whole week, though, I believe it was either Friday or Saturday where he benched him and he had a 2 home run day on the bench. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I can't really complain about the score when I was bailed out on so many things, on so many mistakes that Mike made.
Right. The Cy Young this week is Clark Schmidt, 11 2/3 with 2 wins, 2 homers, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 386 and an 086. The Cy Young I'm given to Christian Javier, 10 2/3, a loss, a homer, 8 walks, 12 strikeouts, a 422 and a 122. Ohtani was bad, but he had more strikeouts and at least got a win out of the week. And there were some other really great relief appearances out of Mike. Who the hell is Mike Baumann with his 2 wins there? I don't know. He got some interesting stuff. But Benji, the floor is yours on this one, my friend.
Look, I mean, it's no surprise that I've had a real mixed bag of weeks this season. It's I have a really good offensive week, then I have a really disappointing offensive week. I have a good pitching week. I have a bad pitching week. And this week, it seemed like it all came together. For 10 days, I felt like basically everything was falling my way. Right now, I am 12-3 in strikeouts for a batter. I'm 10-5 against opponents in average, 12-3 in on base percentage. So 12-3 in walks. So my team is doing what I drafted it to do offensively. So that's nice to see. We'll get more into scheduling and everything. Basically, a path to the playoffs is just me taking care of business. I can count on a little bit of help from some other managers, but in general, I don't really control my destiny. Like if certain guys do crazier things to their opponents, there's not really much I can do about it. I can only just take care of who I'm playing against. I've got James Mccloskey, who I don't think I've beaten since 2015. Then I got Bryan Lebo. Then I got Josh Haber. That's an opportunity for me to take care of business against the guy I'm facing against. Then I got Matt Losey, gotta win that one. And then it's Mike Haber and Jason Ashby to finish. And by then, in week 21, maybe we'll kind of know what the story is for most of us, but maybe not, because right now we are really, really bunched together.
We're stupid tight right now. There are 7 teams within 7.5 games of first place, and I feel like there's 10 teams at or above 500 and in the hunt.
Yes.
Yeah. It's going to be a crazy finish here, man. I really hope that you're still thinking you're in this thing, because in the position you're in with as many games over 500 as you are, your schedule is still favorable, and you've got the opportunity to actually knock some of these dudes out and create an opening for somebody like this guy.
Right. No, it's possible, man. But over the last, I want to say 6 weeks or so, I'm starting to count up all the stats that if I had done this instead of that, if I yin instead of yang, then I would have another couple of stats on top. And those start to add up. And that's my concern, that at the end of the day, I might be one of those guys that finally, and it happened to me in 2013. I missed the playoffs by a stat, or a stat and a half. And it was heartbreaking. It really was, like that feeling of knowing all I had to do was make one different decision in the whole 22 weeks. And that's the difference between making the playoffs and not. And I am pretty positive that is going to happen to a manager this season. It might be me, or it might be somebody else, but they'll be dwelling and thinking all off season, why didn't I play this guy instead of this guy on Thursday or whatever it is? But it's going to be heartbreaking for somebody. But I hope I'm one of those 6, man. I think I played well enough to be one of the 6. I think I drafted well enough. I think I'm one of the best managers in our league. So like, I feel like I deserve to be there, but if the fantasy gods don't see it in the cards, that's really not my decision.
The baseball gods have chosen already the 6 that will make it. It's just a matter of us playing this game out and seeing what happens. Don't know who it's going to be, honestly. I think there's maybe one team that's actually stamped his ticket to the playoffs so far. Not going to be talking about that today, though. Let us move on to the next matchup, Benjamin. We've got ourselves a matchup between Frank Bucco and Josh Haber, because what we got here was a win. We got a win for Frank Bucco, and he falls in the standings 3 spots because everybody else is beating up on each other. I'm sure, hi Frank, I'm sure you're listening now, and I'm sure he's really pissed that he lost 3 spots in the standings after winning over Josh, because on Monday he called me when he was up like 17-3 or something ridiculous, and said, if it finishes out as right now, I'm going to be in first place. And I said, Frank, you could also get beaten by the end of the week and be in 8th. Well, here we are. This is the weird moment. On Sunday, Frank led by a run and Josh tied that up. And Frank led by 2 steals. And look at this thing. We're going to talk about Lane Thomas and his 5 stolen bases on Sunday here shortly. But that certainly changed the complexion of this matchup. Close categories, Frank wins by 4, 13 ticks on the whip. Josh wins by those 3 steals, 3 wins, and 50 strikeouts. I know that's really close, but he won by 50 strikeouts. It's pretty impressive. They tie in runs. For Frank on his bench this week, got something on the bench this week. It's a 1 for 5.
Nice. All right, so we're perfect. 200.
Yes, sir. We continue on. 1 for 5 with the 200 batting average. There weren't even any counting stats, so that does not play. As for his moves this week, he dropped Ben Lively, Steven Matz, Patrick Corbin, Ronnie Mauricio, Bobby Miller, Josiah Gray, and Taylor Scott all on the 11th. That's 7 dudes he opened up roster spots for. He added Xavier Curry with a clean inning. He added Ryan Walker with a clean inning, but he was benched. He added Angel Perdomo for 2 innings clean with 2 strikeouts. He dropped Xavier Curry for Carlos Carrasco, 4 2/3, a bomb, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 7.71 and a 1.71. He then dropped Keenan Middleton and Angel Perdomo and Carlos Carrasco for Brent Suter, who gave him a clean inning. Dropped Tommy Canley for Keenan Middleton back, 1/3 of an inning, a 54 ERA and a 6 whip with a walk and a loss. He added Alex Kirilloff, 2 for 5 with a double, an RBI, and a walk. And then added Yasmani Grandal and Michael Lorenzen, who were both on the bench. I'm curious what you think at this point with the way he handled this long week.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like Frank has been pretty set on his strategy. So it's sort of, we're just talking about Frank now.
Yeah.
I think he did fine. You know,
Okay.
I mean, obviously you don't want to let a big lead slip away, but there was so much time left and so many stats that needed to be accumulated that I'm not surprised that it changed this much. I mean, Josh is a great manager. He played to the score and, you know, and he did what he was supposed to. I had a conversation with Josh earlier today, about 20 minutes, and he was a little frustrated with how, you know, he could have probably won runs if he did this instead of that. But at the same time, you know, he made this a lot better than it could have been. In some ways, he might have saved his season, because when I look at both of these managers, Frank's got the nicest schedule going forward. Josh has got one of the toughest schedules going forward. So it was more important for Josh this week than it was for Frank. So I'll give credit to both of them here. They both did what they had to do.
His MVP this week is Michael Harris, 2 electric boogaloo, 393 with a 485 on base, 4 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 2 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 6 strikeouts. With a shout out to Kyle Schwarber's 12 RBIs and Alex Bregman's 4 homers and 7 RBIs. Michael Harris, he didn't win homers or RBIs, so those are hard numbers to give an MVP to. The doubles, the batting average, the on-base percentage, that's what I was really keying in on. That being said, the least valuable hitter is Francisco Lindor, 094 with a 237 on base. 2 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, 2 steals, 6 walks, and 14 strikeouts. He's been pretty bad.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, he still has, 60-something RBIs for a shortstop. I mean, I don't know how many shortstops.
62.
62. So... yeah, and in general, he's had a bad season, but again, Frank's team is built on a lot of different components here, and he doesn't need Lindor to be a superstar in order for this team to go. Like, he just needs a little bit of contribution from him, a little contribution from Reynolds, a little contribution from Schwarber, and that's what this team has been. It's just been like kind of like little jabs, you know, just singling a team to death once in a while, and then occasionally just like dropping 7 bombs in a week, you know, between 2 different guys, and then that's enough to carry you.
Agreed. On the pitching side, his Cy Young, I'm going to give to Jordan Montgomery, 6 innings, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 150 and a 133. The Cy Yuck, we're going to go with Tyler Wells or Tommy Canley. Each one of those were pretty bad. Wells getting blowed up. 2 innings, a loss, a bomb, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 22-50, and a 4. Spencer Strider with his 23 strikeouts is lovely, but a loss and a 675 is not going to get it done. That's really the whole pitching is, or at least the starting pitching is Strider and friends. Over on the other side for Josh, his bench stats this week, Benjamin, it's 13 for 58.
Uh, 326.
You almost nailed it. 224.
With that was 14, really close.
Yeah, with 14 runs, 4 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts, and an error. The only thing that plays is the 14 runs. And if we're honest, it's just Sunday with Anthony Rizzo on the bench. But how do you get that guy in there? He's been awful for as long as he has been.
Yeah, I guess the only way I can make the argument is over Perdomo, who was playing utility on Sunday, who also did score a run, but Perdomo just joined the team. Like Rizzo, he was drafted in. He's been your guy. It's similar to me with Seiya Suzuki, right? Like I put him in, he scored the run. Let me see if he still's got something in him. Josh played Rizzo on Saturday because he was at the game and he was horrendous. And I know that feeling of being like, fuck you. Like, I'm not going to play you on the final day. And you bench him. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Also want to give a shout out to Lane Thomas. You'll see it right here. 4 stolen bases on the 23rd. That's yesterday. That's Sunday. 4 steals to win him the category. Absolutely sick day out of Lane Thomas. For Josh's moves this week, he dropped Kyle Freeland and added Geraldo Perdomo, who now becomes another one of those rolling pieces of utility that he's got in this lineup. He dropped Tim Hill for Martin Perez, 5 innings, a homer, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 540 and a 180. He dropped Perez for Daniel Lynch, 5 innings, a win, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 9 ERA, and a 160.
No good.
He dropped Lynch and added Drew Smith, 2/3 of an inning, a walk, a strikeout, a 13-50, and a 6 with a relief appearance. Horrible. He dropped, not good. He dropped Enyel De Los Santos for Jose Cisnero. I don't even know if that guy saw the lineup. An inning, a 27, a bomb, a strikeout, a 3, and a relief appearance. He dropped Drew Smith for Cutter Crawford, 4 innings, 2 bombs, 2 strikeouts, a 9, and a 1. And finished off this terrible week with Cutter Crawford dropped for Tyler Anderson. 6 innings, a win, a bomb, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 6, and a 150. Benji, you're squirming.
Pretty horrendous group of ads. Like, I love Josh dearly, but it seemed like he picked a hand grenade on basically every single one of his ads this week. Mm-hmm. I mean, if even half of them are better, we might be talking about a different score, man. Like, this is a difference between
10 losses.
A difference, fine. So he might have lost losses anyway, but ERA 434 to 530, that's still a little less than a run with 131 to 145. Yeah, like if he doesn't make these ads that they're a little, or that he picks a different guy, he probably wins this week. Those were very, very disappointing pitching ads.
Yeah. 20 bombs, 49 walks over 113 innings. That's not good. That is not good at all.
And what would you probably say that ERA is, if on average, like if you take the big ones and the little ones and the amount of
this bench stat here is it's atrocious. 540, a 9, a 6, a 9, a 6, and a 27.
So we're probably talking about an over 5.5. Probably.
Yeah, it's probably more than what his ERA is for the week. Yeah. Gross. Now, on the hitting side, he did quite well. Shout-outs to both Austin Riley and Cody Bellinger as co-MVPs this week. Bellinger, 436 with a 452 on base, 9 runs, 2 doubles, 5 bombs, 15 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Riley, 306 with a 359, 10 runs, a double, a triple, 6 bombs, 17 RBIs, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts, and an error. Ketel Marte also had 11 RBIs and 6 walks. So, like, this was an offense that wasn't going to get fucked with this week.
Right.
His least valuable hitter, though, is Ellie De La Cruz, an 086 with a 179, 3 runs, a bomb, an RBI, a steal, 3 walks, 16 strikeouts, and an error. On the pitching side, I'm going to go back to the bullpen here with somebody's Cy Young and give it to Felix Bautista. 7 innings, a win, 5 saves, 12 strikeouts, nothing earned in 045 and 6 relief appearances. Every single time he got into the game, it mattered, and he was striking dudes out at will. Really, really good week. The Cy Young, Carlos Rodon, 9 1/3, 2 losses rather, 3 homers, 7 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 964 and a 161. This guy has been awful.
Yeah, it's 3 starts, but so far pretty bad.
Yeah, very, very bad. So where are we at with these two teams? I know you like one of them to make the playoffs already, and Frank, surprisingly enough.
Yes, not surprising to me. He took care of business. He beat the guys that he needed to beat, that he had been fighting with for a playoff spot. And now it's basically in front of him. He has Matt Losi on the schedule. He has Christian on the schedule. He finishes the season with Mike Sherman. That's a pretty decent guy to finish the season with. For me, Frank is in. It's just a question of if he's getting the bye. I have a little bit of a different feeling about Josh Haber. I think that when I look at the club, it just seems a lot more tough. As I get into his schedule here, yes, he has the number 1 player this week in Henry Collins, followed by a Joe Schubert, followed by Adam Lowenstein, then myself, James Mccloskey, Bryan, Lebo, and he finishes with Ari. It's not horrible. There are definitely some W's in there, but it's this next 4 matchups. It's Henry, it's you, it's Adam, and it's me. Those 4 weeks, these next 4 could make or break his season.
That is a frightening outlook when you stare down the barrel of your season this late in the year, and you've been in first place and fighting for that spot for most of the year. And now it comes down to this, because for whatever reason, this is one of those magical years where there isn't somebody who just runs off and hides. There isn't a group of dudes who separate themselves as the top group of teams. This is as competitive a season as we have ever seen. These two guys are right in the mix here, and somebody is going to get their heart broken.
Yeah,
it could very well be one of or both of them.
Yes, and as far as week 22, I could see that 2 guys were in the bye up until the weekend, and then in that weekend, 2 guys from the bottom jump and they take first and second place in the last couple of days. Like, I can absolutely see it this year. As far as Frank's schedule going forward, he's got Matt Losi. Then it gets a little tougher, and it's Mike Haber, Jason Ashby, Bobby Russo, and then he finishes with Christian. Then Costas could be a play-in game, and then Mike Sherman to finish. In general, I like this schedule more than I like Josh's.
Oh, yeah. And that matchup with Costas is a revenge game, because didn't Costas win earlier this season against Frank?
Yeah, not only was it a win, it was a 16-4 win over Frank, a quadruple up. So yeah, definitely it's going to be a critical matchup at that point. Maybe not so much for Frank, because if he takes care of business this week against Matt Losi and he does what he's supposed to do against Christian, if he gets those 2 wins, in a double up sort of fashion, I think he's good to go, and it won't really matter what he does on week 21 and 22, except he will still be trying, because he could still be going for that bye.
Oh, yeah. I don't think anybody's going to be able to rest on their laurels at any point this season. It's going to be a situation where every single team is going to be fighting for something in week 22, one way or the other, whether it's spoiling your opponent's season or getting to the playoffs or getting to the bye. There is going to be something to fight for everybody this year.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of, let's move on to another matchup here where we get quite the spoil this week here, Benjamin. Adam Lowenstein taking down a 12-7 win over James Mccloskey. What did you see here?
Adam had it the whole way. He kept control of this thing. Didn't really notice too much as far as activity. But I guess the one thing I can say is that there was a moment where he got frustrated. I think it was on Friday where his wife was distracting him and he wasn't able to get Jake Fraley out of the game and put in Sawinski. And Sawinski, of course, hits the bomb on his bench. And then I think he got into a fight with his wife over it. So fortunately, that stat did not end up playing. It didn't make a difference. So it was all tongue in cheek, all in jest, as they say.
I see. Our apologies to Mrs. Lowenstein for always pulling her husband away from the attention that she is so rightly deserving.
Yes.
That being said, on Sunday, Adam led by 6 ticks on the on-base percentage, and initially, it looks like James took that by 2.
Oh no! So I guess that Sawinski bomb did matter. Uh-oh.
It did matter just this much.
Oh no!
For close categories, it looks like James did initially win by a triple, but a stat correction gives Adam a tie there. So 2 steals by James and 4 ticks on the on-base percentage becomes 2. For Adam, 5 RBIs, 1 save, and 1 relief appearance. They tied in losses and triples. For Adam on his bench this week, Benjamin, it was 6 for 21.
That's annoying. 6 for 24 would be 250. 307.
286. It's 4 runs, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. None of it plays, as it was just one of those weeks, His transactions this week, he dropped Kerry Carpenter for Michael Tonkin, 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, an 050 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Kyle Hendricks for Ben Lively, 4 innings, a bomb, 3 strikeouts, a 225, and an 075. He dropped Ryan Nelson for Tristan Casas, 1 for 2 with a run, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Dropped Lively for Bryan Wu, 3 1/3, a loss, 2 bombs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 16-20, and a 330. And finally finished it off with dropping Jordan Westberg. For his MVP this week, I'm going with Gleyber Torres. 378 with a 375 on base, 7 runs, a triple, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. Surprising week from Gleyber Torres, wouldn't you say?
He's been probably their most consistent hitter, though, all season, besides, of course, Judge when he was healthy. Like, when you look at it, the guy's been better than LeMahieu. He's been better than Stanton. He's been better than Rizzo. He's been better than Volpe. He's been better than IKF, right? Like, when you look at
better
it.
Better than Donaldson, better than
McKinney, Bowers, like whatever they've been throwing out there. Gleyber Torres, say what you will about the defense, say what you will about how often he strikes out. These things are true. But as far as consistency, like, he's been a mainstay there. And without his production, you wonder where the Yankees would be.
Yeah, it's a very good question. His least valuable hitter is, ironically, Jack Sawinski, 067 with a 125 with a double, an RBI, a walk, and 6 strikeouts.
It was there. It was right there. It was there to take on base.
It was right there. Unfortunate. His Cy Young this week, finally, we get to talk about Yu Darvish. 12 innings, 2 wins, 5 walks, 16 strikeouts, an 075 and a 117. And the Cy Young I'm going to give to that Bryan Wu kid that he picked up with his 16.20 ERA. But also shout out to Steven Okert, who was an opener and got absolutely beat to piss against somebody fairly recently. It was not a great, here it is. It was against Baltimore. He got one out and gave up, I think it was like 4 or 5 runs. It was gross. It's terrible. For James Mccloskey this week, Benjamin, on his bench, he goes 25 for 78.
Oh, 327.
321 with 9 runs, 6 doubles, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, 7 walks, 23 strikeouts, and an error. The only thing that plays there are the 10 RBIs. He lost that category by 5. I'm not going to try to find them because there's a whole lot of them. But suffice it to say, it was probably there for the taking. His moves this week, he added Mason Thompson, an inning and a third, a 150 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Tommy Hendry for J.D. Davis, 0 for 2 with a walk. Added Mitch Garver, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Dropped both of those guys. Added Ramon Urias, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Added Jose Siri, 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Dropped Siri, Ramon Urias, and Kyle Nelson for Abner Uribe. Do you have any idea who Abner Uribe is?
No.
Me either.
You sure you're pronouncing it right?
I hope so. He did get a third of an inning in a relief appearance, so that's nice, I suppose. His MVP this week is, of course, the same guy we talk about just about every week, Shohei Ohtani. 320 with a 528, 11 runs, a double, a triple, 3 bombs, 5 RBIs, 11 walks, and 12 strikeouts. Second overall pick. Has it been justified so far?
Yes, I would say so. And we all kind of poo-pooed it at the time. I remember, what? This really just happened? Okay, but
oh yeah,
dude, it made a lot of sense.
Absolutely. His least valuable hitter this week is Sean Murphy, surprisingly enough. If I can find him. Did he drop him? Oh, here he is. 083 with a 185, 3 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young, I'm going back to the bullpen here. We're going with Kenley Jansen. 3 relief appearances, all clean, 2 saves. It wasn't a great pitching week for James, so finding a guy who really put things together, like Jason Foley's 193 ERA with a save, I don't know. I just didn't really see somebody that stood out, and that's probably the Achilles heel of this team, right?
I would agree. Yeah, just in general. I would say the whole pitching staff kind of makes you like, I don't know if this one's going to compete against this other team. But yeah, the bullpen after Jansen, it gets kind of shoddy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mason Thompson was the Cy Young this week. He threw 3 innings, took a loss, 12 ERA, and a 2.33 on the whip. We're both thinking that these guys are going to end up on the outside looking in, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I would think James Mccloskey still got a shot at this.
Of course he does.
He basically has the same schedule as me, right? Like he faces everyone after I face them. Let me take a look here. What's the name of his name? Oh yeah. Okay. So he's got me right now, then Mike Sherman, Bryan Lebo, Ari Nisman, Josh Haber, Matt Losey, finishes with Mike Haber. That's pretty good. Like, that's pretty gettable. But, I mean, he's going to have to win most of them. He's got to win the matchup against Josh. He's got to win the final matchup against Mike Haber. He probably has to win this week against me. It's not going to be easy, especially because right now, when you look in the standings, he's in 9th. So he still has to jump 3 other teams and let them not run away with it. It's going to be tough. Adam's schedule now, maybe a little bit more favorable. Let's see. It's Bryan Lebo, followed by Ari, then Josh, Matt Losey, and then Mike Haber, Jason Ashby. He finishes with Bob Russo. No, that one's tougher.
That's terrible. That's the worst final 3 weeks, I think, is that gauntlet right there.
Yep.
But what Adam is going to do is possibly play spoiler for all three of those guys.
Very
That
true.
if he gets a win over one of them, it could cost them their season.
Yes. And he's one of those guys that even though he knows that he's not making the playoffs, he's going to keep playing because he's enjoying this so much. I liken it to a Frank in 2019, where he was like still checking his lineup even when he wasn't in the consolation bracket. Like I think this is a similar type of guy who's going to think this is all going to be gone soon. Like I'm not going to be able to do this pretty soon. So I have to get the most out of it. And as he's doing that, he's going to be learning more and understanding the game. I mean, he's still figuring things out. It's going to take more than a couple of years for him to really fine tune his game. So still a learning curve, but at the same time, yeah, what he can be is absolutely a spoiler. He's going to be trying his ass off to the final day.
Yeah, and having those three guys in the final 3 weeks sets up for a really nice way to be the spoiler. And sure, you could be the speed bump on the way to the playoffs and lose to all three of them, but you're going to try your ass off and you're going to make it very difficult on them.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
going to be interesting. Another guy like that is, in fact, Bryan. You mentioned Bryan Lebo here recently. This is another team that is going to, at least feeling like he's going to be a speed bump toward the playoffs and is looking to play spoiler. I end up taking down the 13-7 win here, Benjamin. Tell me what you saw.
Two guys trying their ass off, basically in desperation mode. I kind of figured what the result would be at the end of the day. I actually thought you might take it even larger than this, but you took care of business, and you put yourself in a situation now where this thing is in front of you, right? Like I believe you've won 4 in a row now, and obviously, yes, you basically have to win out and need help, but your schedule is reasonably favorable and your skills are there. I believe that you have the team as far as offense, starting staff, and bullpen. Like it's all there. It's going to be how you tinker it every day, but it's right in front of you, Joe. You could pull this off.
We're going to see. I'm certainly happy to now be back right at 500. Actually, one game under 500. I've undone the minus 13 that Frank put on me this season. So now we've just got to keep grinding and hope that we can make the playoffs with this weird team that I put together this year. So on Sunday of this matchup, the only thing that flipped was runs. Bryan had a 2-run lead, and I ended up sniping him by 1 there. Close categories. I win by that 1 run, 3 homers, 2 errors, 3 wins, 2 losses, and 2 saves. Bryan does not win anything close per se, and we tied in triples with 3, which is the most annoying thing I've ever had in my career here in the bigs. It was quite annoying. There were more things. I'm being facetious here.
Okay.
On my bench this week, Benjamin, 18 for 45.
Oh. I'm sure you're not too happy with that.
Nope.
Is it like 342?
It's 400.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 9 runs, 4 doubles, a homer, 10 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 10 strikeouts. None of it plays.
Well, there you go.
Unless you're wanting to really try to push all 4 doubles in. Doubtful. My moves this week, I dropped Sal Frelick and Josh Winkowski and added Bobby Miller, 4 2/3, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 193, and an ODA 86 against the Mets. And he left with left knee discomfort and was 1 out away from qualifying for a win. But then Matt Manning went out and went 5 2/3, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 071 in Kansas City. Nice. Dropped Tristan Beck for Josh Winkowski, 2 innings, 4 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a 150. Dropped Miller for Chris Murphy, 4 2/3, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 064. And I dropped Brennan Bernardino because he was the opener. I added Shintaro Fujinami, who was traded to Baltimore while on my team. Gave up a bomb in his 1 inning of work. I dropped Matt Manning for Taylor Sauce. I like to call this guy Sausto because that's how his last name is spelled. Saucedo, 2 innings, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 450 and a 250. I dropped Chris Murphy for Brandon Walter, who never fucking came in. I picked him up on the 19th and held on to him until the 22nd. And we had a game and a half against Boston, and he never fucking came in. It was so annoying. I dropped Winkowski for Lorenzen, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned, in 057 against Kansas City. And dropped Jared Kelnick, who is the dumbest man in baseball this year, who broke his foot kicking a water cooler.
Wow. I
Yep.
didn't even know that.
Yep. Michael Lorenzen gets dropped for Tim Hill, an inning, a whip, and a relief appearance on the bench. I dropped Fujinami for Tyler Rogers off of waivers, and dropped Walter for Sal Frelick after the bell. Of course, I used all 12, Benjamin. 1 hitter, 3 starters, and 7 relievers. 7 relievers did not even get me within 7 of the relief appearance total to win the week. My MVP this week, Jason's given that to Gunnar Henderson, 250 with a 333, 10 runs, a double, 2 triples, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, 8 strikeouts, and 2 errors. Terrific.
Shout out anywhere else?
I mean, Mickey Moniak got my team name with his 410 and a 439. Somebody you see?
Yeah, actually. I'd probably say Mookie Betts, right? 6 runs, 2 doubles, a 289, a 386, a bomb,
Yeah.
5 RBIs, 6 walks. I mean, I'm just looking at guys that had like over 5 runs. When you win by a run, I mean, you needed your first pick to do something, and you did.
So I guess that does take away from Max Muncy with his 5 runs, but a 107 average and a 219 on base percentage with 12 strikeouts.
Yeah,
Did score
I'd say
5
that's
runs,
fair.
hit 2 bombs, 7 RBIs. So like everybody in the offense kind of hit. Everybody in the offense
for sure, to an extent, yeah.
Yeah. My Cy Young, I have here Glasnow or Bassett or Seawald. I'm gonna go Bassett. 12 innings, 2 wins, 10 strikeouts, a 150 and a 1. I'll take that. The Cy Yuck is Pablo, 10 2/3, a loss, 3 bombs, 5 walks, 14 strikeouts, a 759 and 178. I benefited from having every single one of my 6 starting pitchers go twice this week.
Wow.
I didn't throw Freddie Peralta in either one of them because I didn't need to. And Seth Lugo was bad in his 1 start. But I was able to add a whole bunch of really good starts and relief appearances alongside what I thought was the right guys to go with. For Bryan this week on his bench, Benji, he goes 7 for 38.
Jeez. Really good.
Yeah.
Is it like 186?
It's 184. 4 runs, 1 double, an RBI, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. Obviously, the run is what matters. But
Great job.
The note here is there's no obvious misstep in order to put that run in. Like a lot of them were offers that scored a run off of a walk, right? Or a fielder's choice or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's fairly annoying. For his moves this week, he dropped Josh Donaldson for Dean Kramer, 6 innings, a win, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, a 150 and an 067, and added Jesus Luzardo's cousin, Edward Buzzardo, who went a third of an inning, an 81 ERA, and a 9 whip. He got explodey, hand grenade. He dropped Scott Alexander for Tyler Freeman, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Dropped Aaron Loop for Steven Wilson, an inning, 18 ERA, and a 3 whip. He dropped Bizzardo for Quinn Priester. Thank you so much for doing this one. 5 1/3, a loss, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, an 1181 and a 169. He dropped Adrian Hauser for Aaron Loop, who gave him a clean relief appearance, and dropped Genesis Cabrera, who just got traded to Toronto, for Zach McKinstry, over 4, 2 strikeouts, and an error. Gross. He dropped McKinstry for Rich Hill, 5 2/3, a walk, a strikeout, a 635, and a 159. He dropped Kramer for Zach Greinke, 4 innings, a loss, 2 walks, a strikeout, a 450, and a 150 against Detroit. That was the other side of the Lorenzen start. I saw the Lorenzen start as a real good opportunity to get in on it, and Bryan thought, well, if you're going to do that, I'll just take the other side and hope for the best. Marcus Stroman was the oopsie, and he dropped Rich Hill. He added Mike Ford over 4 with 2 strikeouts, and then added Matt Manning, 2 innings, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, nothing earned, a 150, and pulled after a rain delay. He used 11 ads, 3 hitters, 5 starters, and 3 relievers. His key player this week is that's not Hunter Davis, that's Henry Davis. Henry Davis hit 407 with a 515 on base, 6 runs, a double, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, a steal, 6 walks, 2 strikeouts, but 3 big errors. Lebo won average and on base percentage with a shout out to Taylor Ward and Andrew Benintendi. Benintendi was annoying this week. The least valuable hitter goes to Tyler Stevenson, 188 and a 235, 3 runs, a double, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. The Cy Young, hey, look, it's Yenier Cano, 6 innings, a bomb, 4 strikeouts, a 150, and a 1 with 6 relief appearances. The Cy Young is, in fact, that clown Bizardo I mentioned earlier with his 81 ERA, with a shout out to Priester and Genesis Cabrera and Zach Greinke and probably half a dozen other guys. Benji, I won again.
No kidding, man. And the schedule looks fairly light. It's Ari, then Josh Haber, Matt Losey, Mike Haber, Jason Ashby, Bobby Russo, and you finish it off with Christian Wood. How are you feeling about that before we go any further?
The schedule seems like it sets up for me to at least make a run here and make this interesting. I don't think that this is a playoff team, but I think that it's going to compete and it's going to be there. And I'm going to be that annoying guy who's right there in the middle of all of this, making life miserable for everybody else because, God damn it, if I lose, Joe could get in.
So are you saying you're in or are you saying you're out?
I'm saying I'm out, but I'm saying that I'm going to be competing for that last spot. I'm only 12 out of a playoff spot right now.
Honestly, man, it's really hard to say because things keep on flip-flopping every week, and I refuse to say you're out of this. I never at any point during the season felt that way because I always thought as long as you're around 500 at this point, you put yourself in the driver's seat. Yes, you need help. Like we said, yes, you need other things to happen in order for you to get in, besides the fact that you basically need to win and win pretty big almost every week. But the schedule is favorable. No one's running away with this thing. So it's there for you. It's there for the taking.
Absolutely. And that's not to say I'm not going to keep running this team out there and throwing every inning I possibly can to try to make this thing happen. I'm not saying I'm not trying to make the playoffs. I am. But I just don't know that this team is going to make it.
Now, on the other side, and it's sort of sad when you think about Bryan Lebo's season because he had been putting himself in a great position to be in this thing. And then a 14-4 loss to Frank, an 18-2 loss to Henry, and now this loss to 13-7. That's a -10, followed by a -16, so that's 26, and then another, so that's -32 in 3 weeks.
That's your season, bro.
That's the season. And that's unfortunate because when you listen to the rest of the schedule, Adam, myself, James Mccloskey, Mike Sherman, Ari Nisman, Josh Haber, and he finishes with Matt Losey. Like, it's pretty good. It's pretty much there. All he would have needed to do was not get crushed by Frank, Henry, and you, 3 guys that are going for it. If he gets closer to around 500, he's right in it and right in the thick of things. But it's unfortunate what happened in those 3 weeks, -32. It's really, really tough to climb back from. Not if it happens in week 6, 7, and 8. But
Yeah.
week 13, 14, and 15, it's a big difference. So that's
Absolutely.
really unfortunately.
It's rough. It's rough. I mean, you look at me. I went minus 13 to Frank with minus 1s and 2s all around it, and I've just now undone all of that.
Mhm.
So now you're right. I have put myself in a nice driver's seat. Bryan, unfortunately, took his big losses at the wrong time, where this stretch run is now more about spoiling than it is making a push.
Yeah.
And he said as much to me in text messages. He's like, I hate this fucking season, but I'm gonna ruin somebody's.
Yeah. And he's got 2 guys, if you count James Mccloskey, 3, but he's got me next week. And the second to last week, he's got Josh Haber. So those are 2 opportunities for him to break the hearts of somebody. And he's played really well for the most part. He's still a tough manager to play against. I mean, you look at his roster, he still was driving you nuts every day. So like he does make the best of it. There were just like a couple of trades that unfortunately he missed on. And by doing that, he actually propelled somebody else by making that trade.
Right. It's just a difficult season for Bryan. Although congratulations, Bryan has just opened up a new practice there in Washington State and is taking care of some children patients as a doctor. I wish you all the best of luck, buddy. Congratulations on Airway Pediatrics opening up, and we wish you the best of luck.
Yes.
Benji, that brings us to the end here. Now, I would normally talk about records and managers of the week, but we're going to be doing a show tomorrow with Jason Ashby. So I'm going to save all of that stuff for tomorrow. So thanks for being here, dude.
It's been a blast, man. We got a lot more to break down, a much more in-depth show tomorrow, but hopefully the guys appreciate what we got through today.
No doubt. Thank you guys all for watching and listening. We appreciate you. And as always, we have nothing without you. Until next time, fellas, it's been real, it's been fun, and it's always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.